What's up, Internet? It's me, the Notorious B.I.V. And I know it is I, the Notorious B.I.V., but that doesn't really rhyme very well. So, it is me, the Notorious B.I.V. And, yeah, yeah, from the title of this video, you may see that I have been vaxxed, okay? But I want to take you back a little bit to see where I'm coming from on this. So, when CVID all went down, I'm going to call it CVID to avoid being censored by YouTube or whatever for misinformation. Because, anything anyone says could be misinformation if someone decides that they don't like what that person said. So, to avoid all that ugliness, let's just call it CVID. That's going to be my code word for this. CVID and vaxxed, okay? Just so you know what I'm talking about. So, when CVID all went down in the first place, even before CVID hit, I'm a pretty healthy guy, right? Not that I'm into health food and that kind of stuff, but I mean, I get sick, I get a cold maybe once or twice a year, and I get the flu, every 3 to 5 years maybe, and I don't get sick, right? That's just not something that happens to me, and I'm blessed. I'm very grateful for that. I realize not everyone's so lucky, or blessed as the case may be, and but I don't get flu shots. Again, I don't care. Like if I get, like I said, I get the flu every 3 to 5 years. I throw up for a couple days, feel crummy, and then I get over it. So okay, big deal. And that's basically, I don't take sick days. I don't, I just don't. So that's kind of been my history. So when CVID hit, and my family, my wife and my children are fairly healthy as well. I mean, we don't get sick a lot. We don't go to the doctor. We don't get prescriptions for things, that's just how things have been. That's how things are shaking out for us. And so when CVID hit, it was like, nothing really changed for me, like I was already working from home, and my kids are homeschooled, and and we don't really go out to a lot of, we're kind of homebodies anyway. So when CVID hit, it was just like kind of business as usual, right? It just seemed like same old for a long time. Like that whole year, I'm just like, and I didn't know a whole lot of people who got COVID, right? So it was just something that like I heard about, right? It's like, oh yeah, there's this COVID's going on. Oh, I've said COVID now like several times, haven't I? So yeah, like I heard people getting CVID, right? And it's like, but it was like out there, right? It was just stuff I heard, right? I mean, like no one I knew or in my immediate circle, or even their circles, like I just didn't hear about a whole lot of cases and things, and it just wasn't touching me, right? And so because of that, it just got really surreal at times. I remember being in a supermarket at one point and just looking around, and like everyone's wearing masks, right? We're all wearing masks. This was back at the height of maskness, and we're just all wearing masks. And I'm looking around, going, "This is so weird." Like I know there's this thing called CVID that's going around, right? I know that in my head, but everything I see around me, like I can't see that. I can't see CVID, right? I just look around and I'm like, we're all wearing masks. and it just like, why are we wearing masks? This is so weird. Like, I just had this really surreal experience, just a surreal moment at that point. It was weird. I thought, like, if aliens came down right now and saw us all wearing masks, they'd just think like, these people are weird. Like, why do they wear masks? It was my thought at the time. So, um, anyway, everything, the years go on, and 2020, 2020 came and went. 2021's came and went as well. About September of last year, I got a cold, but at first I thought it was a cold, and then but it kept going and going and going for it, when it had gone on for like 5 or 6 days, I was like, this is weird, because this doesn't happen to me, right? Like I said, I get a cold and it's like, or the flu for that matter, but I get a cold and it's gone in like a couple days, 3 days. I shake it off, it's gone, no big deal. So this one was just like lasting forever, and I was like, what is going on? Do I have COVID? I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I have CVID, right? And so I went and got tested, but nope, no CVID. It was weird, and it lasted like exactly 2 weeks, I think, and it finally went away, and it was just like weird, and then. And I think what I got is like this super cold that's going around. If you've heard of the super cold, it's like a really bad cold that people are getting because like we haven't been exposed to as many things during CVID, right? Because we've all been wearing masks and we've all been staying in and all that stuff, right? So I think I got this super cold, and it happened again like in October. And then again, just recently here, a couple weeks ago, and again in October, it just lasted like 2 full weeks, and then it was gone. But this last time, it was milder, and it didn't last as long. So I think that's good. I think like my immune system's building up now. So anyway, so when the vaxes came out. Everyone was like, oh, like, are you getting the vax? Did you get vaxxed or whatever? And I'm just like, no. And my thought at the time was just like, I explained this to my friend. I said, it's kind of like if Rod Stewart was coming to town, right? If Rod Stewart was in concert, and people were like, dude, do you have your Rod Stewart tickets? I'd just be like, no, not really. Like, I don't hate Rod Stewart, and I don't love Rod Stewart. I'm just kind of ambivalent towards him. And like, why would I go see Rod Stewart? Right? Like, I just that's not something that would ever occur to me to do, to see Rod Stewart in concert. If someone gave me some Rod Stewart tickets, maybe I'd go see the show, just, oh, hey, I got these tickets. But that's kind of how I felt about the vaccine. I was just kind of like, no, it's just not really on my radar, because it's like I said, I don't get flu shots, I don't get sick, and it just wasn't anything that, and like I said, like CVID did not affect my life whatsoever at all during 2020 and 2021. So when the vaxes came out, I was just like, I'm not really interested. Like, I just don't. It's not something I really care about. And then all these stupid vax mandates came down, right? The vax mandate from Let's Go Brandon Joe Biden, and I was not down with the vax mandates. I'm just like, okay. At that point, I was like, right, but before that, I was just kind of ambivalent towards the vaccines. I was just like, oh, I'll just let everyone else get their vaccine, that wants it, and I'm not really that interested. But when the vax mandates came down, I was like, I mean, like, right, like, you push me this way, I'm gonna push back, right? Like at that point, I started being like, nah, I'm not getting the vax. Screw you. you know. And I think in October, or maybe it was November, my work basically said, "Hey, we need everyone to get the vax," which kind of pissed me off because I don't feel like Biden's vax mandate is um, I don't believe it's legal. I think that's something the legislative branch of government needs to do if we're going to have any kind of mandate. That goes through the legislative branch, not the judicial, not the presidential, the executive branch. That's what I meant. Um, and so I'm just like, no, I'm not going to comply with this illegal BS. And at that point, I honestly was like, well, I guess I'm going to lose my job. They said initially, I think they were like, you have to be vaccinated by December 8th, I think it was, and and then they pushed it out to January 4th, and now it's been the last I heard it's been pushed out to January 18th. And so initially I was just like, well, okay, I'll lose my job, whatever. I'll start looking for a new job, and I did. I started looking around, kind of half-heartedly, um, but but that's how strongly I felt about it. Like I'm like, okay, I'm gonna I'm gonna be out of a job, you know. Um, and then and then at some point here, I guess at some point, some of my religious leaders were pushing for the vax for us to get vaxxed, and I'm like, okay, I guess I can listen to those guys, right? Like, I'm not going to listen to the government. I'll listen to my religious leaders, um, which many of you are probably like, oh my gosh, this guy's an idiot. That's fine. You're allowed to think I'm an idiot. That's cool. That's fine. It's not cool, but it's fine. Um, and if you think I'm an idiot, please leave a comment in the comment section, and we can discuss. But yeah, so then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll get it. And but now it's like I'm within this time frame, right? Like I really was kind of leaning towards Pfizer, but Pfizer would be like one shot now, and then like 3 weeks, I think, would be the soonest I could get the next one. So I went with Johnson & Johnson, which I didn't want to do, but I was like, okay, if I'm going to get vaxxed anyway, I may as well keep my job, right? And Johnson & Johnson is a one-shot deal at the moment. They recommend you get a booster, though. And so I'm like, I'll just get the Johnson & Johnson, and then, I'll be vaxxed by the 18th. So that's what I did today. I got my friggin' shot. I can't even see, where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. Can you see it? I got my friggin' shot. So I'm vaxxed now. Yay me. And I think, it's kind of funny in society now. We feel like we're relatively safe, right? Like, and we are, like, compared to the 1800s and the 1700s, and so on. Like, we live a relatively nice, safe existence, right? Bandits aren't going to come like riding through town and kill us or anything like that. I mean, there is the occasional gang shooting and things like that, right? And that's my point. Is like we think we're so safe and insulated, but we're really not. Like there are so many risks we take every day that we don't even really think about. Um, and and CVID is like the least. It should be like one of the least of our worries. Honestly, I feel like you can when you go out and get in your car every time you get in your car, statistically you're taking a much bigger risk than like getting CVID, right, or dying from the flu or whatever. And we don't even think about that, right? We just like, well, I'm gonna, I gotta get to the store, or I gotta, I gotta go to this concert, or I've gotta go visit my friend, or whatever. And we get in our car and we go, right? That's just what we do. Or we have to go to work, right? Time to go to work. Jump in the car, whatever. That's a risk. You walk outside your house, you could get shot, right? You could, people go hiking all the time, right? You could get eaten by a bear or something. People go swimming in the ocean, and you could get stung by a jellyfish, or there are just so many things out there that that we just don't really think about. And if you did think about all those risks, you would just like curl up in a ball and never leave your house and just be like, oh my gosh, I could die, right? Um, so I just think CVID is really overhyped. And there was a friend of mine, over New Year's, the day before New Year's Eve, or no, it was New Year's. Yeah, it was New Year's Eve. I call up my friend. I'm like, hey man, what's going on? And he said, oh yeah, I'm just in bed. I watching a movie with my wife. He said, so my friend's vaxxed, right? And he said, yeah, I went this morning and got tested, got a rapid test for COVID, and I came back positive. So I'm not doing anything tonight. So tomorrow I'm gonna go get a. No, I guess this was the night before. This was the night before New Year's Eve, okay? And I'm talking to him, and he said, yeah, so I got this rapid test, and it came back positive, so I'm going to go back tomorrow and get like a real test or whatever, and then we'll see, right? So I call him back New Year's Eve. I'm like, hey, man, or I texted him New Year's Eve. I'm like, hey, did you get your results? Nope, haven't got my results yet. I'm like, okay. And so the next day, New Year's Day, he texts me back and he's like, hey, ha ha ha, I came back negative, isn't that funny? And I'm like, no, it's really sad actually. I'm like, you're vaxxed. I'm like, you're vaxxed. Like, go live your friggin' life, man. Like, just, like, and I don't know the circumstances of why he went and got tested, but I just thought that was so ridiculous. Like, you missed out on New Year's Eve. You denied everyone your presence, right? And all because you went and got tested. You're vaxxed. Like, just go live your life, dude. What the F? That was so weird to me. And again, I don't know the circumstances. Maybe like he and his family members all were like, hey, let's all get tested, to see if we can get together or whatever. Maybe it was something like that. Whatever. My point is, like, just live your life, guys. I refuse to live in fear. And like I said, we take risks every day that we don't even really think about. And we should. Like, we should be out there living our lives. And, if we get struck by lightning or something, okay, it's our time to go, right? But you can't live in fear. So if you take anything from this, take that. And I am the Notorious BIV, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.